Telford zur Information, bitte. Mr. Telford to information, please. Mr. Telford to information, please. Herr Telford zur Information, bitte. Mr. Telford to information, please. Mr. Telford to information, please.
Bitte. Ja, mein Herr.
Ich bin Mark Telford. Sie haben eine Nachricht für mich.
Ja, mein Herr. Firmsprecher da oben. An die Ecke.
Oh, danke schön.
Bitte schön.
Telford. Philip? You're bright and early. I didn't know head office opened before 10 o'clock. No, it was all right. No, I got his signature last night at 9 o'clock. So you needn't have worried. Well, thank you very much, Philip. And look, I must rush now because my plane home leaves in 25 minutes. Oh, no. But Brussels, surely John can handle anything there. Well, couldn't Wilson hold the fort until John's better? Oh, God, Philip, it takes 3 years to build a factory. Surely 2 days at the beginning of a negotiation can't be that important. Yes, I know. Oh, dear. Now, Wilson will meet me, will he, at Brussels? Well, you better know what the negotiations are all about, because I haven't a clue, you realize that? Oh, I hope so. Oh, and, Philip, ring Sylvia, will you, to let her know I won't be home tonight? Right. Damn.
Damn.
Is that for me?
No. No, it was your father's office.
Oh, he's not coming home today.
No.
Ah, surprise, surprise. He has an urgent appointment in Timbuktu where he's trying to finance a sale of coconuts to Eskimos.
Something like that. Oh, I better get on to Celia. We were going there for dinner tonight. She'll be furious, ruin her table. Peter?
Oh, no, Mother, please. You know I hate those dinner parties. In any case, I want to take Jenny skating.
Jenny? I thought that was all over.
Well, yes, it was, but, you know, these things, it started again.
When was that?
About a minute ago.
Yes, I take the point. Oh, well, I better ring Celia. She'll either have to dig up another man or I'll have to join you and Jenny skating.
Well, yes. Well, why don't you do that? I mean, we'd love to have you along.
Don't overdo it, Peter, or I might accept.
My, you do look busy.
Yes.
I like to relax while I'm traveling.
Well, I wish I could, but...
Oh, we can all relax, you know. It's very good for the health of the whole mind and body.
Oh, I'm sure, yes.
Have you heard of Guru Mashti?
No, I can't say I have.
He says we've got to fly with it. Just lie back and float with it.
Hello, Mark. I've got the car here in good time.
Oh, that's good, because there are one or two things I'd like to do, actually. So can we go via the bank?
Certainly. We're not meeting Duport till 1:15.
Oh, that's very good. Bonjour. Merci. Merci. Et en route, nous voudrions passer par la banque, s'il vous plaît. Okay, then Tom will tell me what I'm going to tell Jacques Dupont. And we have to get it word perfect so he doesn't see your lips moving.
Oh, come on, Mark, you're nobody's dummy.
Well, no, but you obviously know so much more about this proposal than I do. It does seem silly my being here at all.
The man from head office. By definition, Mark, you know more than I do.
Yes, all right. Now tell me what I know.
Right. Maintenance is a multinational chemical company with its head offices in Lille. It's capitalized at 100 billion francs. It started in 1910 in heavy chemicals, mostly in fertilizers, but now its most important division is pharmaceuticals, though its nitrogen plant in Marseille is the third biggest in the EEC. It's got a small interest in oil, having a quarter share in a North Sea field coming on stream next year. Plants in most other EEC countries, though none so far in the UK.
Oh, so this will biz first.
That's right.
Hence head office's anxiety to finance it.
Oh, they would be a new client.
And one in the eye for Credit France and its UK partner.
They are their main bankers, yes.
We ought to come to a vote, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, isn't it time we decided something?
And this is the particular theatre that we're dealing with.
Please, we've got to make a decision. We spent most of the morning on this one tiny repertory company, and there's a lot more business to be got through.
Max, that's all very well. It may only be a tiny repertory company, but it's all Chesterfield has. It is a mining town with a declining steel industry. I mean, have you ever seen it?
No, I can't say I have.
Well, I have. It's awful. But the town council have kept that theatre going for donkey's years.
Well, if it's a mining town, they can probably afford it.
No, silly, they can't. It's a very poor town. Hey, it probably costs a sixpenny rent just to plant a couple of dozen daffodils on the roundabout, which doubles for the town park. But they have kept that theatre going. It's nothing short of heroic, and we ought not to take away their grant.
But, my dear, have you seen their programme for last year? I mean, old thrillers, West End comedies.
Oh, what are they supposed to do? Royal Heart of the Sun, followed by chorus line?
Oh, there's Waiting for Godot.
Waiting for God. When the audience looked at the set, they would think they were still in the town centre.
So we got to cut somewhere.
Well, let's start with Chichester.
Oh, but it's such a lovely theatre and such good food.
Yes, and it's only open for about half the year for all the Philistines of Sussex to show how keen they are on the arts. Look, we ought to be supporting Chesterfield or Hull or Leeds or Newcastle, not some theatre just outside London with a fairly unadventurous programme.
So, Mountains want to set up in the UK.
Yes, they started to think about it last year when the pound was so weak you could buy a tuppenny bum for a penny.
Well, it still makes sense for them, doesn't it? Cheap labour, short holidays, big market. And we used to do the same, didn't we? Invest in peasant economies. And the plumbing's awful, old boy, but the coolies work for a bowl of rice.
Oh, come on, it's not that bad.
No, of course not. No, in fact, I think it's very good. I mean, look at this. Who'd want this? The whole place looks as if it was built yesterday by a giant who'd freaked out on Lego. Now, one or two fine buildings are set in an aspic of pre-stressed concrete.
Oh, what about the City of London?
Well, that's just my point. Institutions with more money than taste prove it in concrete. Okay, well, I think I've got it clear now, though what the hell head office thinks I can do, I haven't the faintest idea.
It's very simple. Just have a lunch and lend Mantons 10 million.
Oh, well, that's all right, then. Look, we've got a minute, have we?
Well, no more.
I'd like to see Jack for a moment.
Yeah, usual account biz for me, and the Swissy now.
Okay. Right.
They're going to go places.
243, is that the best you can do? Okay, yeah. Okay, well...
246, yeah? Good, it's rather so long. Too much going on there. I'll call you back in a moment. Hello, Mark, I didn't know you were in Brussels.
Well, I didn't know I was going to be. Look, I don't want to interrupt you.
No problem, it's quite quiet now anyway.
Oh, you fool me.
What may I do for you?
Well, I'd just like to check on the latest prices for the pound and the French and Belgian francs. I'm munching a multinational finance director, and I'd like to be up to date with Shimano.
Rod, what's standing now?
182. I've just bought £3 million.
182.
And the Paris is 456. And the Belgian franc, 32.25.
32.25.
Right.
All right, thank you. When will you be going back to the UK?
In 3 months, I can't wait, really.
Oh, I thought you liked us.
Well, that's all right, it'll be nice to be back now.
Well, for the first couple of months until you see your PAYE payments, then you want to be back.
Could be.
Tom, right. Okay, well, thanks very much. I'm sorry I've got to rush. And next time we'll have a beer or something.
Good to see you. Look forward to it.
Bye.
Bye now.
Pardon mille fois, nous sommes en retard.
Pas de quoi, 2 minutes.
Je vous présente Monsieur Telford de notre bureau international à Londres.
Enchanté, assez.
Non, plaisir, merci.
Vous êtes venu de Londres aujourd'hui?
De Londres, non, de Cologne ce matin.
De Cologne, ah, c'est une ville, qu'est-ce qu'on peut dire, intéressante?
Oui, exactement.
Vous prenez quelque chose?
Rien, merci, je suis servi.
Allemand?
A whiskey. And American.
Alors, en quelle langue vous préférez que nous parlions, en français ou en anglais?
Comme vous voulez, monsieur, pour moi c'est égal.
In that case, let us speak English.
Oh. As you wish.
If you are happy to speak French, then I am happy to practice my English.
And if I'd started in English?
Ah, well, in that case, you must remember that chauvinist is a French word.
But not a French monopoly, I think. I mean, we were linguistic imperialists, but the times have changed. All over London, you'll find English businessmen desperately swatting up French irregular verbs, German declensions.
No, but that is good, of course. It is polite. But English is the international language and will be in the future.
Until we all have to learn Chinese.
That will be my son's problem. You have made good business in Cologne?
Yes, it was a satisfactory trip, I think.
Ah, good. Who was it you said you were visiting?
I didn't say.
No, of course not. But it was satisfactory.
Yes.
Ah, good. Then the Kranz brothers must have been very happy with your terms. And Herr Streitzer makes a hard bargain. Oh, forgive me, Mr. Telford, I'm joking with you. I am the finance director of a large company. It is my job to know the capital market, who is borrowing, who is lending, and so on.
But it's not my job to confirm or deny whether or not you've guessed correctly.
Touché.
Santé, monsieur.
Cheers. I can say I'm going to enjoy this lunch.
I gather I'm to have the pleasure of your company tonight, Sylvia.
It's very gallant of you, Max, considering you have the dubious pleasure of my company all day.
And very nice, too. Your performances in the committee have all the verve of a Miltiades at Marathon beating away the barbarians.
Well, as I'm usually battling against you, you're not casting yourself in a very favourable role.
Oh, well, you see, the barbarian pressed Greeks from captured islands into his army, and I'm just a pressman.
In the service of the barbarian? Then I'm ashamed of you.
Well, you might. But at least I do it for money. What's your excuse?
Oh, I have several. Chiefly trying to keep afloat the little provincial theatres.
Yes, I've noticed that. But you must remember the policy. We must have centres of excellence.
Oh, yes, indeed. I tell you what, let's give Chesterfield £2 million, and then they could be a centre of excellence. No, I'm being perfectly serious. You know, we'd be very cost-effective. We can get 3 good actors at Chesterfield for the price of 1 stagehand at the National. It's true.
You give me that, I'll get you another.
Yes, I...
Oh, that was excellent. Indeed. Even I must admit that Brussels rivals Paris when it comes to eating.
Cognac?
Why not? Thank you.
Toi, cognac, s'il vous plaît.
Well, my friend, you have not raised the matter of the loan.
£10 million sterling, yes. Well, we're not going to conclude such a deal in an hour, so why spoil an excellent lunch-talking business?
True. But I hope I have not detained you on false pretenses. As a matter of fact, Crédit France rang me just before lunch. Their terms are very competitive.
What, better than the Banque de Crédit? They're interested too, I believe.
Touché. Let me put the cards on the table. We have no factories in England. This would be our first. Of course, we have good relationships with many banks on the mainland, in France, in Germany, in Belgium, in Italy. But it seemed to us to be good business to approach one of the English banks outside of the group that we usually deal with.
My bank does finance an enormous amount of heavy chemical industry in the UK.
Oh, we're aware of that, of course, but that is not important. Advice on manufacturing we do not need, no. No, the important thing is the price of the money, and that should be no problem for you.
Oh.
Well, the English clearing banks are so over-liquid. All that money sloshing about and no one wanting to borrow it.
How long did you want the loan for?
7 years.
You see, the answer to over-liquidity is not to freeze your money at 5 years at a low rate of interest.
It is a dilemma for you, but that is your skill as bankers. We are just simple manufacturers.
Monsieur Dupont, if you're that simple, I will offer you now 10 million at 15%.
No, mon ami, we are not that simple.
So, what percentage are you looking for?
Oh, 1 or 2%.
But if Credit France or Deutsche Bank got anywhere near that, you wouldn't be here.
Of course not.
So, what figure are you looking for?
I think I would like you to make an offer, and then we will decide.
Yes, I see. Can we negotiate after the offer?
We usually just take the best offer.
Yes, I see. You understand, I'd like to go back to London now to discuss this with my colleagues, to make sure that we make the best offer we can.
Of course. Well, now the business is over. Let us enjoy the cognac. And that is something in which Belgium cannot rival France.
What's a nice girl like you doing reading dirty books like that?
Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, precisely. Underage sex, fighting in the streets, and more than a hint of necrophilia.
Peter Telford, if a girl's waiting for you to ask her out, necrophilia might be all she has to look forward to.
Very good, Jenny. Excellent. That wins first prize in the Peter Telford Witty Line of the Week competition.
What's that?
Why, Night on the Town with Peter Telford.
I'll settle for second prize.
What's that?
2 nights on the town with Peter Telford.
Are you doing anything?
What are you thinking of?
Well, to start with,
Wouldn't have to ask what you plan to finish with, would
I thought about skating.
Why skating?
Because the thought of you in white boots and swirling short skirt I find irresistible.
Great, we'll go skating then.
Good.
I'll wear my jeans.
You have a site in Kent, I believe.
Oh, yes, near Dover. I must say that your government tried very hard to interest us in sites on the Tyne and the Mersey, and even in Wales.
No, they would, development areas.
Yes, I understand, but to us it seemed sensible to keep our lines of communication as short as possible.
Oh, yes. Have you bought the site?
No, not yet, but we have an option to buy, conditional upon permission to build.
I should think that's a mere formality.
Well, thanks for all the briefing and so on.
No, not at all. Will we get it, do you think?
No, I shouldn't think so. We'd have to come up with something very good to woo him away from his bank's UK partner.
His multinationals there isn't much scope for playing around with the rate.
No. I mean, you could get him, of course, if we were prepared to lose on it in the hope of further business, but see, they're no fools. They take us on this deal and then go back to their own bank for the next deal on a proper business footing. Now, as soon as your mistress begins to behave like your wife, there's no point in the hassle.
It's a waste of time, then.
Unless we can come up with some really new idea.
Oh, just a call from Telford.
Any luck?
Didn't sound very hopeful.
Well, we weren't expecting anything.
No, still. Blessed are the hopeful, for they shall not always be disappointed.
Well, expect he's hoping to get home now.
Yes, he's just rushing off to the airport.
Attention, all passengers to London. We regret that all flights have been postponed due to fog at Heathrow, Gatwick and Stansted. The airlines regret the inconvenience to passengers. Further information will be issued as soon as it is available.
Further down the line, taking me some paper, pencil in my hand. I'm gonna write, darling. You know I feel the cold night, thinking of the old night, spent along with
You're quite sure you've got enough there?
Yeah, of course. Who was it that said that to eat well in England, one had to eat 3 breakfasts a day?
I've no idea, but he certainly wasn't referring to this house. Oh, Peter, really?
Now stop fussing and get yourself ready for your evening of bacchanalian excess.
I should be so lucky.
Shame Dad can't make it.
Oh, you know what your father's like. He spends so much time eating business lunches all over the continent. When he does get home, all he wants is cheese and pickle and a bottle of beer in the kitchen.
Oh, you can understand it.
Yes, you can. But it doesn't make it very easy to live with. And he eats lunch at the Tour d'Argent in Paris. And then when I want to go out to a steakhouse in Pimlico, it doesn't seem an irresistible offer.
Whoops. God, this is enough of this. Let's go and have a Coke or
Good
something.
idea. How are your A-levels then?
They'll be all right. I hope. We'll soon tell. We've got exams in 10 weeks.
Have you decided what to do at university?
Well, I always thought economics. But no, I'm not so sure.
To please your father.
No, he's not like that. In fact, he's so fed up with banking at the moment, he'd probably be positively against me going into it.
Oh, I thought he was doing well, travelling all over the place and so on.
He's doing well enough. But he never gets out at all. He hardly managed to get out on the boat at all last year. Just sits on the Thames, rotting away.
Your mum must get fed up with it too.
Yeah, she does a bit. It's hard to know why they bother, you know.
Trying to get a word out. What? Don't you believe it, Dennis? Sylvia's a revolutionary.
What?
Well, of course you are. She kept us all day in committee fighting for the horny-handed miners of some northern town or other.
Maybe I just like strong men, Max.
I see. I thought you were fighting for their artistic souls. It was just a bit of rough trade she was after.
Max, those are bold words from you.
No, I think it's probably true.
Oh, you too. What a night of surprises.
Look, all I was trying to say was that the world of the arts can seem a little precious at times.
But, darling, how can you say that? I live like a peasant.
Darling, your bœuf en croûte paysan was divine, to say nothing of the salmon mousse.
Sweetheart, have some more cognac. You deserve it.
Well, I think I will.
Right next to you. You don't deserve it.
Very much
But you may have one.
I'll watch this because I am only driving.
Now, that's yes, yes, please. God, I'm not driving in this fog. It's good of you, Max.
Not at all. It's hardly out of my way.
Policy, I suppose, isn't it? We do drive to parties.
Very sensible. And who wants to drive home alone from a party? Where is Mark tonight?
Goodness knows.
Zeta, 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 can't you hear the music playing in the city square?
Zeta, 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 come where all our friends will find us. With the guns there.
Must be difficult for you both.
Yes, it is. Well, neither of us wants to live in the other's pocket. We've each got our own lives, interests, so on. But at present, it seems to be all we do have.
Hello, 1099.
Hello, darling.
Where are you?
Would you believe the Ostend-Dover ferry?
What on earth are you doing there?
Well, there was fog at London Airport.
Oh, yes, it's bad here too.
Yes, so I've had to do it by train and ferry.
What time do you think you'll be home then?
Well, I don't know. I'll try and spend what's left of the night at the White Cliffs Hotel because I thought while I was actually in Dover, I'd stop over and look at a site that a client is interested in.
Oh, Mark, so... Well, what time will you be home then?
Well, tomorrow sometime. I'll try and get away from there about midday. I'll have to go to the city then, and I'll be home after that.
Well, you'll be home for supper, won't you? We've got Simon and Mary coming round.
Oh, surely, yes. Yes, I'm sorry about tonight. Did you enjoy yourself?
Yes, it was pleasant.
Good. Well, good night, darling. And you got the hotel, didn't you, the White Cliffs?
Yes, Well, good night. See you tomorrow.
Good night.
Mark not coming home?
No, he's, no.
Oh, dear. Well, I must be getting off.
Oh, Max, I'm so sorry. I was thrown by that call. Wouldn't you like a cup of coffee or a drink before you go?
Well, some coffee sounds good.
Good, fine. Come on, Mitch.
You fought very hard today.
Of course. You don't think I'm going to let the Metropolitan Mafia take all the money, do you? I am not Scots for nothing.
I don't think I know a single person who's more metropolitan than you.
You said that very authoritatively.
Did I? Ah, the theatres, the galleries, the pubs, you love it. Today we saw your guilty conscience about leaving your roots so gladly.
Do you know, that's quite disconcerting.
Good.
It wouldn't be so disconcerting if there wasn't an element of truth in it.
Well, don't feel guilty. Adapt Confucius. If London's inevitable, lie back and enjoy it. Sylvia, what are you going to do when you get bored with our little committee?
Bored?
I watch you there, arguing, debating, suggesting crafty little compromises the opposition jump at only to find you give nothing away whatsoever.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Of course you do. You could take on the rest of the committee in your sleep and beat them hands down.
Including you?
No, not including me. You see, you've done it again.
What?
Or slid round an awkward question. What are you going to do when you get bored with it?
How can I answer a question like that? For a start, how do I know I'm going to get bored?
Oh, you'll get fed up giving advice that's seldom heeded. You'll want some executive position.
How do you know?
Well, I think it's possible.
Well, then I suppose I will apply for an executive position.
How'd your husband feel about that?
This is like the third degree. What's all this about?
I suppose I just resent seeing so much ability wasted. Perhaps I never got over being a schoolmaster. You were saying what your husband would think of your working.
No, I wasn't, actually. I don't know. We haven't discussed it.
You must have thought about it.
Well, on and off. Actually, I've thought about it quite a bit.
Ah.
It's not easy, though, is it?
Anyone home?
In here, Peter!
Saved by the bell. Hello, Peter. How are you?
How do you do? I'm sorry, I didn't know anyone else was in here.
Oh, Max gave me a lift home from Celia's. I'm trying to make sure that he gets home without being breathalyzed.
It's a good idea, actually. Is there any left?
Yeah, oh, yes, lots.
I must get home. It's getting on for midnight. Thank you very much for the coffee, Sylvia.
Not at all.
Good night, Peter.
Bye-bye.
I hope I haven't trespassed.
Odd word to use.
Is it? Well, sometimes people keep parts of their minds wired off even from themselves. Then if an outsider barges in, they get annoyed because, well, then they have to acknowledge the no-go area.
Well, I'm certainly not annoyed with you, Max.
Good. And the no-go area?
Oh, I've been looking over the fence for some time now.
Hmm. Good night.
And the days grow short. I'm sorry if I broke that up just now. I don't know, do I? I mean, with Dad away so much, it would be perfectly reasonable for you to have a boyfriend, wouldn't it?
It's a long time since Max was a boy, don't you think?
Oh, I'll cast off for you.
No, thank you.
Cast off for it. You going far?
Beloit.
Oh, marvellous. Not much wind today.
No, but the forecast's good.
Cast off, start.
Thank you.
Bon voyage. Right, tango in fives, please. Thank you. What is the name of the manager here, please?
Mr. Stetchley.
What, Tom Stetchley?
Oh, yes.
Well, well, well. Would you mind telling him that Mark Telford would appreciate a word with him, please?
Yes, certainly.
Thank you.
Mark Telford. Well. What on earth are you doing here?
Well, I could ask the same.
Well, come on in.
Thank you.
This is a surprise.
But I thought you were still in, where was it, Blandford?
I've been here 5 years.
5 years? My word, how time flies.
Well, I'm sure it does for you. You've done very well, Mark. You know, I keep seeing your name in photograph in the news sheet, shaking hands with the president of this, eating with the chairman of that.
It's nothing, really.
Oh, no, don't say that. You're one of my few successes in the bank.
Oh, Tom.
When you're chief general manager, I'll be able to say he's a good lad himself. But I started him off, you know. He started the bank as a lad the same day as I had my first manager's office.
Yeah, seems a long time ago.
And here I still am. And you're in the stratosphere.
No, you exaggerate, Tom.
I don't. What are you doing here?
Well, I saw the financial director of a French multinational yesterday in Mountains. And they're thinking of building a £5 million factory up the coast a little.
Yes, I've heard about that.
Well, we want to lend him the money, but his own bank is in a consortium with a competing clearer, and we're definitely a second horse in this race. So I thought I'd poke about a bit and get to know what he needs, find out how we can service him. You know, impress on him how well we can do.
I see.
Of course, now I know that his local manager will be Tom Stetchley. It's in the bag.
But it won't be. I'm retiring in a month.
Oh, surely not. You can't be.
Yeah. I'm going a couple of years early.
Oh, Tom, is it your health? I hadn't heard.
Oh, I'm as fit as a fiddle. And from next month, I'm going to punish that golf ball on every links in the country. Can't wait.
Oh, good. So you're glad to be retiring, then?
Yeah. I'm going because it suits us both. Me and the bank.
Well, I don't know how on earth they can afford to lose a man of your experience.
Just as easily as the Earth could afford to lose dinosaurs once the mammals are moved in.
But you're not a dinosaur.
I am. A dinosaur. You know, Mark, this job isn't the same as it was when you first walked into the branch all bright-eyed. I'm not a manager. I'm a bloody salesman. I mean, no. Look at this lot. Look what they want me to sell. Insurance, hire purchase, factoring stocks and shares, even holidays.
Well, we're no longer just a bank, but a financial group.
Oh, I know all that, and I'm no longer a manager, but a groupie. Following the trendy ways of lending out money if it was confetti.
Tommy, always were conservative.
Do you really think it's a good idea to get our customers into debt? No, I mean, tell me honestly, Mark. Do you think it's a good idea? We give them credit cards, personal loans, check guarantee cards, cash cards. We try to get them in hock to us. And the country in hock to the IMF. Or any other international bank that's daft enough to lend us. It's lunacy. So you can see why head office can bear to part with me.
You know, you haven't changed one little bit, have you, Tom? So I remember how customers used to say to me when I was on the desk, excuse me, is Mr. Stetchley in a good mood this morning if they wanted an overdraft?
As a matter of fact, I think I still do. Well, regional office is always on to me about how thin my lending book is. So we've agreed to differ and part good friends with a handsome handshake to show there's no ill feeling.
Well, if that's what you want, good luck to you.
Yeah, yes, it's what I want. And if I should run short of money, well, there are dozens of banks simply dying to lend it.
Oh, that's the biggest laugh of the week. The day you borrow money, Tom, I'll know it's Judgment Day.
Oh, thank you, my dear. So, Mark, what can I do for you? Just name it.
Well, the usual things. I mean, how could you manage a really big weekly wage operation? How much staff you need and all that. But what I'm really after is knowledge, local know-how that might just give us the edge.
Well, young Mark, what was the first thing I taught you about lending propositions?
Always visit a client on his own patch and have a good look.
Right.
But he isn't there, it's just a field.
You never know what you don't know until you do know
all there is to know. Yes, okay. Well, I must ring head office first, because they haven't a clue where I am.
Was 12 2/3%.
All right. Well, Simon. Yes, I was right. I just looked it up. It was 12 2/3. That's it. Now, with the cheaper money, I'd say we could go as low as 10 3/4. Well, try it on. Let me know. Some coffee, Janet, before that damn phone rings you. Oh, Mark, where are you? I thought I'd be seeing you first thing.
I'm at Dover.
Dover? What are you doing there?
Well, it's a long story, but look, the mountains loan is going to be difficult. We're definitely second choice. So I'm down here trying to get some leverage, and I'll be with you late this afternoon, if that's all right.
Oh, you think it's that urgent?
Well, I got the feeling their approach to us was purely formal. They decided really to stick with their consortium bank partner.
Was it worth wasting time in it then? I mean, it couldn't be a blue chip company. We'll all be offering the highest rate.
Well, I thought it was worth spending a morning here on the off chance of picking up something or other that might tip the balance. But if you say pack it in, I'll be on the next train.
No, Mark. You know I leave these decisions to the chaps on the ground. I'll see you late this afternoon, then.
Right. Could you get the accountants working on commission rates for cash transfer and a wages deal at Royal?
Yeah, I'll do that. Bye.
It seems too beautiful to build a factory here.
Yes, but people want to work here as well as anywhere else. You can't live on a pretty view. It is.
What's there?
Right?
Did they get planning permission?
Oh, yes. In the end, it'll be a hell of a struggle. A lot of opposition, but, well, Manton's first English factory. You know their policy as well as I do, though you probably don't hate it as much. We're like a maiden lying on her back, waiting to be raped. When a big multinational wants our land, resources, and skills to make profits to export to America, Brussels, Tokyo, we treat them as though they're doing us a favor.
Oh, Tom, you're incorrigible. I see I've got factories in France as well, you know.
Oh, that's as it should be.
Good road to Dover, excellent container port. They've got it made, haven't they?
Yeah. And with the Kent coalfield just over there, they say they'll heat with coal, get the NUM to back them. Well, what have they got to fear from the environmental groups? You know, it's a funny feeling selling land to foreigners so near the white cliffs of Dover. 1,000 years of defying anyone to take them, and now they can have them for a few miserable euro dollars.
Now, Tom, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. I'm sorry to say that, but you are. Because that 1,000 years of defiance, as you call it, has caused a lot of graveyards, and those white cliffs are echoed in tombstones all over the world. And if we can only find a way to work with other countries, in other countries, if we can all be so interdependent, the wars are impossible. Well, my God, that's worth more than all your piddling ideas of Great Britain or Little England, if it comes to that.
That's better. You know, you really had me worried. Remember all those arguments you used to have? I haven't had anything like that since.
Well, I was very young then.
Yeah, still. Hoped you hadn't changed that much. I was beginning to wonder how far to the right I had to go to get a rise out of you. My next proposition would have been to build gas chambers. Customers who exceeded their overdraft limit.
Oh, yes, I used to go home sometimes hopping mad, convinced you were slightly to the right of Genghis Khan.
Oh, don't get me wrong, I am on the right. And I am in favor of traditional, conservative banking practice.
That's a miserable-looking place. Just a minute. Stop, Tom.
An old airfield. It's going to look worse. The Ministry of Environment is leaning on the council to provide a site for gypsies. The council own that. Somehow or other, they picked it up after the war, so there's no option, really.
The council own that?
Yes.
It must be what? 100, 120 acres?
Yes. You see, Mark, you never know what you don't know.
Economics. It must be the only growth industry in the UK at the present moment. Half the workforce must be engaged in compiling statistics about the other half.
It's all right for you. Your dad can explain about them.
No, he throws up his hands in horror and says he's only a simple, practical banker, not an economist.
Thanks for last night. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, good. So did I. What about tonight?
All right. Not for too long, though. I've got an English essay to write.
Yeah, OK. I'm afraid my liquidity is zero at the moment.
I'm broke, too.
However, I've got a good fixed asset in the shape of a record player and some consumer durables in the form of records.
I think a record player is a consumer durable, too, technically.
OK. So, let's put the consumer durables together and make music.
Yes, I do understand that. Look, just tell him I will be in his office at 2 o'clock. Yes, I know that. If he can see me, fine. If not, I'm on my way back to London anyway. But do urge on him that this meeting is of great potential benefit to the county, involving a great deal of money, all right? Goodbye. If only we didn't have to move so fast.
You enjoy it?
Oh, did enjoy it. You know, Tom, I find myself looking back more and more to the days when I used to run a branch bank. So I always knew what I was going to be doing. Did you go and manage to arrange a car?
Yes, 12:45. Hardly time for lunch.
Well, there's just time for a drink, shall we?
If you like.
You know, I either sit for lunch for 2 hours and eat far too much, or I can't even manage the time for a sandwich.
Well, I'm a member of the yacht club, but you're still keen on boats. I seem to remember we had a dinghy on the reservoir.
Well, I've got a ketch on the Blackwater now, but I've never had time to say.
All right, then a pint and a sandwich at the club. I have the car collection from there.
What on earth am I doing, Tom, rushing about all over the place? When I could find a billet for myself in a little town like this and start to live sanely again.
Because you're hooked on the excitement. I saw your eyes shine when you saw that sight.
Well, so did yours. And you make just as many decisions a day as I do, and to the people involved, those decisions are just as important. After all, if I manage to lend Monsieur Dupont £5 million, that will just be a ripple on the sea of Manton's finances. Whereas you...
Oh, yes, I know. A loan of £25 can be a lifesaver.
If you can bring yourself to make it.
Oh, I manage often enough for me.
No, it's a delusion, you know, Tom, ambition.
Is there Mr. Telford here, please?
Right, thank you very much. So, that'll be my taxi. You did tell them to collect my bags, did you?
Yes. You know, it's not entirely a delusion. And you can give orders so easily and naturally to your old manager.
Give orders? Oh, I'm sorry, Tom, forgive me.
My dear boy, there's nothing to forgive. You're doing just what I taught you. Taking your place on the ladder. I'm the old die-hard, remember? I believe in the ladder. I'm proud of you, Mark. And now, off you go. And kick hell out of that chief executive.
You know, you've changed my day from being a miserable one in a strange town into being a very happy one. Bye, Tom.
Bye.
Here you are at last, Mark. You look all in.
Well, I am, and I'm only halfway through today as it is.
Some coffee.
Yes, excellent. But before that, how about something just a little bit stronger?
Surely. An unusual request for you, Mark? Whiskey?
Yes, please. May I?
Help yourself.
Margaret, yes, I'm back. Look, ring my wife, will you? Tell her I'm in head office and I'll be home for dinner. Then, will you ring Mantons of Lille? Mantons. Manton. M-A-N-T-O-N. Of Lille. I want to have lunch tomorrow with Monsieur Jacques Dupont, D-U-P-O-N-T, Jacques Dupont. He's the finance director. Now, track him down, and I'll have lunch wherever that is. And when you find out, book me a flight. Now, stress how vital it is, and say that I have information of vital concern to his plans, all right? You got all that? Bye. Now, I'm ready for that whiskey.
Oh, do you really want to tell me what you're doing? Sounds as if you've got it all buttoned up.
I'm sorry to put on such a high-powered act.
Oh, I'm very impressed.
But it really is necessary.
Well?
Well, before I start, I think we're going to have to see the chief. So, do you think your secretary could see if he's available in half an hour or so?
Don't you think I can judge that, then?
Philip, I judge that if I don't get to Dupont by tomorrow lunchtime, we'll lose a £5 to £10 million business with the possibility of millions more from one of the world's largest multinationals. Now, don't let's lose that because the chief general manager goes home 5 minutes early.
Now, Janet.
Yes?
Get on to the chief general manager's secretary. See if he can squeeze us in half an hour. Important.
Right.
Thank you. Right. Now, please.
Right, from the beginning, the whole deal from Dupont is 10 million. It's 5 million for site purchase, site preparation and building, and 5 million for tooling and stocking. Repayment over 7 years with interest only on the first 2 years.
Sounds a pretty standard deal.
Oh, right, except that it's a blue-chip company. The banks with a competing Euro consortium.
Right, it would be very attractive.
Now, I'm as sure as eggs we're just window dressing for Manton's board to show them that Dupont has tried for a competitive tender. But I mean, with a blue chip like Manton's, how can you compete? It's one over the base rate for all of us, and we piddle around with hundreds on commission rates for cash transfer and the rest. But I think I've come up with a way to really make a dent in their figures. You see, the site they want is in beautiful countryside. They'll run into all sorts of trouble. But the county has a site near Dover that's more or less derelict, and that the government is leaning on them to turn into a gypsy site. And that means laying on sewers, water, the whole works, more or less for nothing. And the county has problems with public opinion about citing the gypsies there. But if they could borrow from us, do a real job on it for, say, $250,000, a short road, sewers, water, then lease 100 acres to Mantons at, say, £25,000 a year, which would cover their interest payments to us, and on the remaining 20 acres, they can put their gypsies free. See, all sewers, water, and so on will be there, so they get a free gypsy site. Now, public opinion will swallow the gypsies if they get another 500 or 600 jobs. And the rates on the factory is all profit to the authority.
And Mantons will get a cheap site and save $1 million or so on site purchase and preparation.
Right.
Clever. So all you need is authority from the CGM to lend to the county council. By the way, does the county council know he's going to ask us to lend them $250,000?
No, not yet. The chief executive does, and he's laying on emergency meetings of the planning, finance, and general purposes committees.
Yes.
Mr. Harvey is tied up until 6:30. If it's very urgent, he'll see you then for a few moments.
All right, we'll see him then.
Oh, I'm really going to be in the doghouse at home.
Oh, darling, it's not like buying peanuts from the grocer's.
Well, why should medicine be different from anything else? People get what they pay for.
Simon, that's very hard.
Look, I don't make the rules. It's simple economics.
Well, I'm studying economics, and if there's anything simple about it, we haven't met it yet.
No, economists, they make up a jargon just to obscure simple truths and make themselves important.
Like doctors. Well, they not only use absurd names for simple ailments, they go one stage further. Their handwriting's so bad you can't even read the absurd names. That'll be Mark. Excuse me. Oh, why are you so late? You know they're always early. We've finished dinner.
Oh, I'm sorry. I really am sorry. It was just unavoidable.
It always is.
I'm terribly sorry. I just couldn't get away. Hello, Simon. Hello, Mary.
Sylvia says you were in Brussels last night.
Yes, and Cologne the night before, and tomorrow I shall be in Paris.
Oh, no.
Yes, I'm afraid so, darling. I've got a lunch appointment there.
No wonder my bank charges are so high.
No, Simon, the cost of the lunch will ultimately be borne by your patients. Huh? I'm lunching with the finance director of Mountains, the manufacturing pharmacists.
Well, it all sounds very exciting and jet-setting.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? But I'll let you into a secret. Working lunches are not much fun if you have to work during them, and working breakfasts no fun at all, even if you don't. And finally, no lunch, not even Maxim's in Paris, can survive an aperitif called Heathrow.
Oh, come off it, Mark. Admit it. You would much rather be doing this than being a stodgy old bank manager again.
Now, honestly, Mary, I can't. My old life appears more and more attractive. Oh, by the way, darling, guess who I met today? Tom Stetchley.
Did you? He was Mark's first manager. How was he?
Oh, rather sad, really. See, Tom was, well, still is, one of your real old bankers. The daily balance was only marginally less important than the Ten Commandments. And he ran his branch like a guards battalion. And the cashiers wouldn't dream of wearing anything but a formal suit, and I do believe that even the customers felt they had to put on a tie before cashing a check. But I'm afraid that computerized bookkeeping and girl cashiers who look like go-go dancers have finished him because he's retiring early.
Where is he now?
Moldova, because, you know, I was there this morning. Yes, it was really good seeing him again.
Even though he was such a martinet?
Oh, well, it was mostly bark. It was secure. You felt safe somehow. You know, providing your shirt was white and your handwriting neat and the figures the same at the bottom of both columns. Everything was perfect. Not just satisfactory, it was perfect. It's very reassuring. Safe.
Sounds dreadfully boring to me.
Well, of course, it had its boring side, but then so's any job. Have you ever known an airplane take off exactly on time?
There's some casserole, Mark.
Oh, no, thank you, darling. I'll just have some wine and a little cheese.
Well, that's not very much.
Oh, it's enough, I promise you. I've chased around so much today, I just want to sit really. Maybe I'll have something later.
You know, you ought to eat properly, Mark. When you're lying in intensive care, fighting a coronary, none of this will seem at all important.
Yes, I realise that. What worries me more is that recently a coronary seems almost attractive.
Oh, Mark, for heaven's...
No, I don't mean death. I mean just a little gentle stab, so you could say to yourself, right, enough's enough.
Well, that's terrible, Mark. No job's worth that.
No. And how's your job, Simon? Peaceful, serene, no broken nights, early mornings, always eat regularly?
That's a joke. Oh, you're a fine one to talk, Simon. He lives at that hospital.
Well, there you are. Now, you see, that was what was so attractive about branch banking. At the end of the day, you balanced your books and nobody could present a check at 2 minutes after 3 anywhere in the country to spoil your balance. Stasis for 19 hours until 10 the following morning.
Well, 9:30, surely?
Not in my day, no. We used to work gentlemen's hours.
Well, I diagnosed a serious case of nostalgia.
And the cure?
Oh, just a simple homeopathic therapy.
That means sticking needles in him. Can I help?
No, it's quite simple. No, it's a system whereby a disease is treated with minute doses of drugs which cause the same symptoms as the disease. In Mark's case, I should think, a week as a branch bank manager should effect a complete cure.
Cynic.
No, you ought to take a more detached view, Mark. What is the point of running yourself into the ground?
Well, none at all, of course, but I don't understand, Simon. I mean, you don't take a detached view, as you call it. A number of times I've heard you complain about the National Health Service.
Well, of course, if you actually have to see someone die because
there isn't enough money. Well, some of us have to provide the money for health services, social security, roads...
Yeah, but not bankers. They don't produce anything tangible. They just move around all the cowrie shells, keeping back 1 in every 10 for themselves.
No, that's ridiculous, Simon. Without a banking system, it would be very hard to produce anything.
In the capitalist system, no?
In any system, Peter, there has to be a way of keeping back something from present production to provide for future production. That's banking.
I don't want to be offensive, Mark, but if that's all it is, why does it require such an expensive mechanism to do it?
It isn't expensive.
Oh, you walk around the City of London and then around your local hospital and see who's spending the money.
No, that's unfair.
It isn't. You don't have to have such prestigious buildings. If I have a consultation with a colleague, I don't expect the hospital to pay for a 20-quid lunch while we talk. It's 2 different sets of standards.
Well, I didn't invent them.
Well, you don't have to defend them.
Come on, you two. Why do you always have to fight?
Sorry.
No, it's probably me. I had a very difficult couple of days.
Excuse me, that must be Jenny.
I thought it was the bell for round 2.
Hello. Oh, not too early, am I?
No. Just saved me from an embarrassing family row.
What have you been up to?
It's not me. It's nothing to do with me. It's my father and uncle. Come on up.
You may as well get it off your chest.
What?
Tell me off for spoiling your supper party.
I'm glad you realise you did.
Sylvia, Simon's always niggling at me. I don't understand it. He's got a good job, secure, nice home. Why is he so critical?
Why are you so sensitive?
One would have to be insensitive to the point of morbidity not to feel the barbs of Simon's observation.
The problem is that you're always too tired to act as a host in your own home. Having guests is such a bore for you, you can hardly be civil.
That is absolutely untrue.
Oh, it's all right when it's Philip Hazlitt coming to dinner. Yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags. No, I'm talking about guests who won't help you to the boardroom. I'm sorry, that was an appalling thing to say. I'm sorry.
Let's forget it, shall we?
Is that all you're going to say?
What else is to say? You've said you're sorry. I've said we'll forget it.
Good night.
We are now flying at 25,000 feet and are just over Dover. The weather reports from Paris are good. Temperature 19 degrees centigrade. We shall be arriving in about 45 minutes.
Je m'excuse, it is my time to be late. I'm so sorry.
Not at all, no.
Oh. These bankers, they are too hospitable. First one aperitif and then another.
Well, you just come from a banker.
My friend, I'm a finance director. I've always just come from a bank.
And will you have another aperitif?
Oh, why not? Gin tonic, s'il vous plaît.
Gin tonic pour mon ami et pour moi encore la même chose, s'il vous plaît.
So, my friend, why this urgent summons to a meeting? Hmm?
Summons? Oh, surely not. I really must have a word with my secretary. She does tend to be over-dramatic. No, I was just passing through Paris and I thought of one or two things relevant to your project, so I thought...
You thought you might just catch me before we sign with somebody else?
Well, shall we say that I'd hate you to have to spend more for your project than you need?
So would I, my friend, but it is expertly costly.
Oh, of course, yes, yes. No, the thought occurred to me, actually, while I was going home from our last meeting, and I was reading in Le Monde about how strong the environmental lobby is getting in France.
Oh, indeed, they're a real force.
Oh, and in England, too, though we do tend to do things rather differently.
Oh, yes. Endless inquiries, big delays, like your nuclear inquiry at Windscale.
That's right, whereas you tend to send in riot police to knock protest on the head.
Oh, that was stupid. But the plant is being built.
Oh, yes, and we don't have a riot police yet. No, but you see, your chosen site is very beautiful.
You've seen it?
Of course, monsieur. We take your inquiry seriously.
Forgive me, I'm impressed. It was only 2 days ago that we...
Now, I foresee difficulty in planning permission. I mean, you'll win, of course, in the end, but you may think that to take on the environmentalist lobby and beat them, and then go on to build a huge factory in a beautiful and sensitive part of England is perhaps not the best way to introduce yourself to English public opinion.
Go on.
And the cost is high for such beautiful land. Now, it happens that I know of a site near Dover. About 100 acres would be available to you.
completely prepared for building. Access road, water, main sewerage. And I think you could lease this land for £25,000 a year. And you would need to borrow £1 million less.
Planning permission?
Well, that's the beauty of this scheme. You see, it's owned by the local authority, and they've got their own reasons for wanting to develop. So you would appear as knights in shining armor to rescue a derelict site.
You can deliver this?
Well, it's all subject to planning negotiation, of course, but my bank is at this moment working with the authority, and with our good offices, I don't foresee any difficulty.
How long?
A month.
And what is your interest rate on 9 million?
Oh, our best, of course, one over the base rate.
Servicing, you have a local branch for cash transmission and so on?
Oh, yes, fully adequate, and we'll be very conscious of the need to offer the best commission rates.
And what about your local man? It must be a small branch.
Oh, well, he's retiring, actually, which is a good thing, because it'll enable us to put in a top man who'll be fully capable of servicing your very large business.
Merci. Mademoiselle, my friend, I think I should like this lunch to be on mantles. Mademoiselle, la carte, s'il vous plaît.
Yes, that's right. I'm just going to get the hot drop. Well, I just wanted to look round over again. Well, yes, that's right. You see, the local knowledge I had certainly impressed Dupont, and any decision is better if it's based on facts, and Dover action's only just beginning, so... I'll see you tomorrow morning. Oh, thank you. Bye.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning.
Congratulations on an order, I think. Mantons have been on to us this morning. We are arranging meetings now with the Corporate Finance Division. It's all happening.
Oh, that's very good.
First-class job, Mark. First class. Pulled it right out from under the opposition. I really look forward to the next meeting of the Clearing Banks Committee. Old Feltham will not enjoy this, though, of course, I shan't say anything to him. So, what's next, then, for our international whiz-kid here?
Well, there are still one or two loose ends to tie up on the Mantons deal.
Such as?
Well, I promised Dupont we'd put a top man in at the Dover branch to handle his business.
Dover? I've seen something about that recently.
Yes, the manager, Stetchley. He's retiring.
That's right. Well, we'll just have to find a good man. Not easy, mind you, but we'll pull something out.
Actually, I do have a suggestion.
Oh?
Yes, me.
You?
To manage the Dover branch. I'd like to. manage the Dover branch.
Come on, Mark, you're not serious.
Oh, I am completely.
But it would be such a step down. Drop in salary, status. Anyway, the bank just couldn't consider it. It has too much invested in you.
Well, it'll just have to find a way. Or face risking losing its investment altogether.
You leave the bank?
Oh, yes.
Sit down, Mark. What's behind all this? The trouble at home? Anything we can do?
No dramatic trouble. I mean, my wife gets fed up with my absences, but that's just par for the course in the international division. No, it's me. I've decided that my life is absurd. I'm tired of rushing about, never knowing where I'm going to eat the next meal or even which bed I'm going to sleep in. I like the sea, I like the country. I don't have to lead the life I do. And quite simply, I'm not going to go on leading it.
Mark, every one of us has felt like this. Every time I go up to Clamberis for a spot of fishing, I look at our branch tucked away by the side of the river. Damn it all, the salmon practically jump into the tills. And I think to myself, now wouldn't it be splendid to run that branch? Forget all about head office. But I know that after a couple of weeks, I'd be screaming to be let out, dying of boredom. You can't go back.
Maybe you can't, but I can.
It's crazy.
But you wanted me home. A steady job so we can plan.
Right. Not in Dover, for God's sake, planning whether we stay in and watch the telly or go out and play bingo.
No, you exaggerate.
Do I? And what about Peter's school?
Well, obviously this won't get sorted for a month or two, and by the time we actually come to move, he'll only have a few months to go.
Yes, but what month? It's his A-level, his whole future. I absolutely refuse to leave London until Peter finishes school.
All right, so I'll get a flat and you can come down at weekends. And of course, I can always come up to town very easily.
And all this to cut down on travelling.
No, he's determined. So's Mum. I don't know what'll happen in the end.
He doesn't seem an unreasonable man.
No, he isn't.
All right, he's tired. Probably overwrought. Won't do any harm for a few months to let him go down to Dover. He'll come to his senses. We'll bloody make sure he does.
You?
That's right.
Well, Al?
See, they think they're humoring me, but once I've been down here a few months, they'll forget all about me. Who was that chap? Something? Telford. That's it.
They won't, you know. You're breaking all the rules. In the pontoon of business, you either stick or go on to win, or bust.
We'll see.
So poor old Sylvia's going to be a bank widow all week. What are we going to do about it, Max?
I'm sure poor old Sylvia doesn't need our help.
Oh, what's that supposed to mean?
I haven't the faintest idea.
I believe she's looking for a job, aren't you?
You dark horse, you. You haven't said anything to me.
I haven't made up my mind yet.
Haven't you?